Madam President, we're ready to go.
Good afternoon and welcome to the meeting of the Sugar Land Development Corporation on Tuesday, April 6, 2021. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Secretary Harris, do we have any comments from the public?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Okay, item number 4, minutes. Consideration of an action on the minutes of the February 2nd, 2021 regular meeting and March 2nd, 2021 joint Sugar Land Development Corporation and Sugar Land 4B Corporation meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Director McCutcheon and a second by Director Jacobson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item number 5, resolutions. Consideration and action on the Sugar Land Development Corporation Resolution number 2021-0402. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the City of Sugar Land Development Corporation approving a request by the City of Sugar Land to fund a workforce and target industry analysis. We have Devin Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, board. If we could get, I don't know if the presentation is up. Thank you. All right. So I'm just going to cover first, this is our workforce and targeted industry analysis funding resolution. We previously came to the board at a joint session with the Sugar Land 4B Corporation to go over the process that we took, the RFP process, and the consultant that we selected. And so the presentation this afternoon is to just a quick review of some of those workshop items. And we do have Chris Engel with EY or Ernst & Young, which is our selected consultant, here with us as well, if there's any questions. And so this will just be a short overview in order to kind of recap some of those workshop items, answer any questions, and then for the board to consider the funding resolution. So just a quick recap. The first economic development plan was approved in 2001. It acted as a framework and a program outline for the city to follow, with the goal of creating a robust, diversified economy that would enhance the quality of life for our residents. There was many accomplishments that were made as part of that first economic development plan: development of our incentives program, establishment of a tourism program, the continued expansion of UH at Sugar Land. And then in 2008, we began a 2-phase process where we first collected the data, and then the second step was to update the economic development plan, which concluded in 2011. We were proposing a similar approach for this effort of updating our economic development strategy, and this being the collection of the data as the first step. So in 2017, we've also completed an initiative to create a uniform brand, which you will see some of those pictures from our website and mugs to just kind of remember that brand that we have developed and we are continuing to use in our marketing. In the summer of last year, we launched our new website with the branding. And then in the fall of 2020, we also engaged DCI for our integrated marketing strategy, which also was brought to the board, and that effort is currently underway. Next slide, please. So in FY20, the City Council added a strategic project, which was to update the Economic Development Strategic Plan. Due to what has occurred in the last year and a half, some of that has been delayed, but we are proposing a 2-phase approach, which is this first stage of conducting a workforce analysis and targeted industry assessment, and then using that data and the visioning efforts that the City Council is also currently working on to then update our economic development plan. So as I mentioned, obviously this strategic project was established in FY20. It was delayed due to the pandemic, but we really feel like now is a good time to restart this effort. We have sufficient data to really demonstrate and forecast all those permanent and temporary impacts of the pandemic. Before a year ago, we didn't really know what was going to happen, and businesses are really starting to begin their planning for the future and making steps towards that and making those decisions. Next slide, please. So some of the goals for this first phase of the data collection, the workforce analysis, and targeted industry assessment is really to support the phase 2, which will be updating the economic development strategy, which will be our department's roadmap and the city's roadmap for what our economic development efforts will be into the future for at least the next 5 to 7 years. This will also support and direct our economic development department's ongoing immediate recruitment efforts. So once we have a lot of this workforce data, I mean, workforce is and talent was one of the number one things that businesses are looking for. And with this data, we will really be able to hone in on what are the types of businesses that we want to target in our recruitment efforts. And then, of course, this will also inform the department's ongoing and future marketing efforts. Next slide, please. So just really quickly before I have Chris say a few words on what the scope of work is that has been developed from the RFP that we released. This is the team that we have selected as part of this effort. So EY's project team, and they have really come to the table with a robust experience and all aspects of what we requested in the RFP be addressed. So with that, I think I'll introduce Chris, and he's just going to touch on a couple of the slides here for our scope of work that we are undertaking with this contract.
Great, thank you, Devin. Good to be with you today. Hello, everyone. As you can see, we've got a full team ready to jump into this project. I'll say a few things about, we're based in Austin. We've got a few people in the bottom right corner who are actually based in Houston that are going to be doing site visits and helping look at the physical, aspects of the target industry selection process. So Ryan and Melissa will be in your city very soon. Can you forward to the next slide? So we put the scope of work that was requested in the RFP into really 3 different buckets or parts of the triangle. This first section is around the workforce. Like Devin said, it's really all about what your workforce skills are, how are companies going to see your workforce when they're doing the site selection evaluation. More specifically, how do you compare against your competition? So we're going to be looking at a few competitors in the Houston region as well as nationally. We're going to be doing a deep dive on the skills that are being demanded by jobs that are in your community and how those have changed, what the forecast looks like, and really just answer the question, how well are you positioned to capture additional new human capital? I mean, certainly, we're going to be looking at some quality of life issues, looking at some innovation and entrepreneurship. And so we really see economic development and based in human capital, but certainly all of the things that go around it to empower your economy and empower your workforce. So that is just the quickest summary I could possibly, I think, come up with for this very deep dive data analysis we're going to be doing for you. On the right side, this is, we use the word target industry. It's probably a term familiar to you, but it's about understanding what industries are really a good fit for your community, what makes you competitive in those industries when you go out to recruit and bid for those projects. One important aspect, particularly in Texas, is do you have the sites and do you have the physical infrastructure to empower and enable all of that development to occur. So we're going to be reviewing some sites with Devin and her team to really understand what your capabilities are and help you be selective with some of the build out that you choose to pursue. And then we'll be looking at the incentive policies and make sure that they're aligned with the industries that you want to target. At the end of the day, we're going to evaluate, those target industries, how well you compete and what you need to do to be more competitive. Objective 3 is around benchmarking the economic development department inside the city. So we're going to look at how other ED departments in competitor cities are organized. You know, how many staff do they have? How are they funded? How are they presenting themselves online? And really just to understand, are you built and organized in the way to be successful in what you want to accomplish? So that's always great information, particularly when you start to look at a bit more of a more aggressive marketing campaign and making sure you've got the staff and the funding to do that. So that is, in a nutshell, what we're doing. There's a bit more detail here. This is going to be a rather fast project, really 4 to 5 months. We are going to be doing an employer survey as part of this process. That's 1.3 on the left. So we're going to go out and ask employers, what's been the impact of COVID? How's it affected your the workforce that you have? What is the future of remote work, and how is that going to affect your operations? And more importantly, what are the skills that you are able to find in Sugar Land or have to recruit in from outside Sugar Land? We'll evaluate the education institutions that you have. Make sure we see the programming that we need to serve the employers in your community. This 1.5 is interesting. It's going to be a deep dive on some very, hard to understand, deep, cryptic even data sets from the federal government that allow us to evaluate, the workforce that leaves your city and the workforce that commutes into your city every day. This is going to be pre-COVID, of course, and we'll be able to see what industries are actually having to lean more on importing workers and what those skills are when they import them. 1.6 is about understanding the entrepreneurial environment that you have, and doing an inventory and seeing what gaps need to be filled. So that is going to happen very quickly, really starting as soon as possible and working into May, maybe even into June, overlapping with the second component around the target industry analysis. So just like the workforce, we're going to do a deep dive into the actual employers that you have, the industries that you have, looking at a lot of job data, looking at those site selection factors, and then doing industry profiles so that you understand what's driving the location decisions of the industries that you're seeking to target. And as I mentioned, we're going to be doing those sites incentives and then the comparison to other EDOs. So again, I'll just pause there and happy to answer any questions. Devin, if you think that's appropriate. I don't know if there's another slide on our scope at this point.
Yeah, I have a few more slides, so I'll just finish up and then we'll answer any questions. So for the budget, overall cost of $147,805, $100,000 coming from SLDC and $47,805, the remainder coming from the SL4B for those 3 components that Chris covered. And then there's this 5-month timeline, of course, from April to August, and all of the engagement with our businesses and any of the interaction between staff and our consultant will mostly be virtual. So, but we do, of course, as Chris mentioned, have a couple of folks from the EY team that are located in Houston and will be available to be doing some of those site visit type stuff when we are looking at those opportunity sites. I'll just mention that the 4B, actually there's a perfect slide for it. So this is sort of the next steps. We have gone through the Economic Development Committee as well as releasing the RFP. The last we were with this board was a joint workshop on March 2nd. On March 17th, the SL4B board did approve the funding resolution for their portion of the contract. And so then we are here today for the funding resolution from SLDC of $100,000. And then this is also scheduled for the contract consideration from City Council in about an hour from now. And then with the conclusion of that, we would begin work immediately. So next slide, please. So the recommendation from staff is to approve resolution number 2021-0402, which approves the funding in the amount of $100,000 from the SLDC for this FY21 workforce and target industry analysis contract. And with that, I think the next slide is clarifying questions from staff. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and Chris is available as well. President Lane, I think you are muted.
Any questions from the board? Steve?
Let me see. Devin,
Yes, sir.
we, the royal we, obviously not me, but your staff has been really working hard to connect with our business community during this pandemic and to understand the impacts and to help where we can. What is the overlap between what we've been doing and what Chris discussed as their efforts to engage our business community? I know that probably the in and out and the what kind of skills and abilities they need probably was not, something that was on the forefront of our engagement. But I would imagine there's some overlap that would be beneficial to them.
I mean, the overlap would certainly be that we have developed a lot of close relationship with our businesses, that they're going to be able to be more comfortable with sharing information when we and EY go to them for asking some of this more detailed workforce information. Our focus the last year has been really engaging the businesses, finding out, how best we can support them. Are there issues that we need to facilitate or anything like that? So really the relationship building that we've been able to do over the last year will help us do this next step of the project, which is a much deeper dive into this data that we need in order to understand what strategic steps we need to take moving forward in our recruitment efforts to bring other businesses in or maybe expand existing industries that we have here.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? It's hard for me to see if anyone has their hand raised if you're on the dais.
None from us. Nothing from us.
None? Okay. Okay, so with that, do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2021-0402?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Motion, is that you, Steve? Motion by Director Porter.
Second, Kermali.
Yes.
Second from Kermali. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Chris Engel, for your presentation. We look forward to hearing all about the results of that analysis. Okay, item number 6, Director's Report. Elizabeth Huff.
Good afternoon. I only have one quick update for you guys. We have launched a Twitter account as part of our integrated marketing plan. So if you are on Twitter, and depending on how active you are in the social media world, please go and give us a follow. It is Sugarland Eco Dev with the @ symbol in the front. So excited about the work with the RFP that Devin and Chris just went over, and that's all I've got for y'all today. So hope y'all have a great afternoon and city council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board?
No, ma'am.
If not, then do you have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Director McCutcheon. And with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.